Welcome to Business Weekly right here on LuvBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. Guess who's back? It's your girl, Miss J, your drip strategist, your boss methodologist, and your hostess with the mostest. Come on now, I'm going to have a challenge. If you could say that 3 to 5 times straight, I have a prize just for you. Many companies that I have, so I can pull from anywhere. You could get mobile spa service. I might get you an empressing, maybe a set of earrings. It could be some crown adornments, which I can't wait to get mine. I'm going to order mine so I can get it and show you guys my crowns for the next week. But so much is happening. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you took an opportunity to come by and spend about 30 to 45 minutes with me on my show, Business Weekly, here on LuvBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. As always, if you're just tuning in, or if you're hitting the replay, I want you to make sure you're subscribing before you leave. Stay for a while. We're going to be talking about something that affects every single business. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your business is. We have to clear this up. We are talking about branding, right? We are talking about branding because branding is super important. The topic that we are hitting up today is the brand beyond the logo. We got to clear this up because a brand's not just a logo. It's not just a website. It's not just some pretty colors. It is your identity, your promise, your story, and it's how people remember and trust you and decide to buy from you. And is that why we're not all in business? We are all in business to make these coins, honey. Now, traditionally, branding came from reputation, your family name on the storefront, consistency in your work, and trust in your word. But today, the brand is built online. It's visual, it's social, and how you show up in platforms actually count. So in today's episode, we're going to be breaking it down, what branding really means, how it evolved, and what entrepreneurs have to do and how to stand out in today's marketplace. Because it's a big marketplace on this. And to go deeper on this, I've invited a guest who knows branding inside out, a creative agency partner who helps businesses to go from idea to identity to execution. So who am I talking about? Well, none other than Miss Naja Dowdy. She's the founder and lead creative of Visibility Creative Agency, a Toronto-based studio noted for its strategy-led design and marketing solutions. As a seasoned graphic designer and art director, Naja brings over 18 years of experience. 18, and I'm sure it's longer because I'm sure she had wrote this some time ago. But 18 years of experience in visual storytelling, brand strategy, and creative leadership to every project. Drawn to color, movement, and sound from an early age, Naja transformed a lifelong love for the arts into a distinguished career. She has led design and strategies for both corporate and nonprofit organizations, contributing to campaigns for iconic brands such as Bell, SiriusXM, Samsung, Disney, Live Nation, and the Juno Awards. And soon to add to that list, Empire by Design. Yes, iconic. If I don't say it, who will? Well, she better say it when she gets on here, right? But so by doing so, after years of building a strong foundation in-house, Naja launched Visibility Creative Agency to help businesses bring their visions to life through branding, design, and strategic direction. Today, she leverages her expertise to support clients ranging from solopreneurs to large organizations, delivering branding and marketing solutions that are both authentic and impactful. Whether launching a new brand or elevating an existing one, Naja is dedicated to helping her clients find clarity, creativity, and intention in every aspect of the brand. Now, does that not sound like experience? Well, I'm telling you right now, we're going to talk real world branding. Please welcome Naja Dowdy to the show. Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to stop my screen sharing here because I'm so excited to have you. How come every time I see you have a new hairstyle? What's going on this tip, my girl?
You know, I love variety, so it's always going to switch it
You
up.
know what? Well said. Well said. You are a designer. So that is what that is. Well, I want to jump in because I think there's so much. I mean, Naja, you became my client just a short time ago. And the amount that I have learned through coaching you has been amazing. And this is something where I said, no. Naja has to come on this show. She got to share these gems, honey. See, people, I love you that much. I be bringing my peoples to be giving you this knowledge, to be dropping these gems. And so we're going to dig right in, right in. So the first question let's put on the table to talk about is when entrepreneurs come to you, what's the biggest misconception they have about branding?
Ooh, you know, that your logo is your whole brand, right?
Mm,
Um, and that's most important before strategy. I think that's the biggest misconception I find when clients do come to me. Hmm.
So when you talk about that strategy, like when you say the logo is not the strategy, why do you think they have that misconception altogether?
I mean, it's, when you are starting a business, you need the logo. So it's sort of
Mhm.
like a need. So you're going to jump to get that done.
Right.
But really, you need to invest in a brand strategy first so that, the logo that is created, any of your other brand identities or things that are going to be able to, last, be successful for what you're trying to do. But I think it's just, it's out of need. People need the logo to put on things. So they're like, okay, let me just run out and get a logo done.
Okay, I see. And I think when we think about it, and for the last three shows, I had a concept around what it takes to get into business then and now. And the guest that I had on, shout out Felicia Latoya, she and I had a really good conversation around the things that people, the belief systems, if we just even think about it from that, right? The belief systems then to the belief systems now are just so much more different. And so you're right. I think when people get into it, it's just like business planning. People feel that the more modern we get, the less the plan has to be, right? But yes, back in the day, there might have been a 40-page business plan, but today there could still be a 40-day business plan, right? It all depends on how big your goal is. Shout outs to my girls who are in the building, Miss T Glanville, hey, hey, hey. And of course, the sweet spot. Like I was just throwing out the sweet spot as a prize. If you could say drip strategist, boss methodologist, and hostess with the mostest 5 times. Can you do it? Let's try. Go ahead, girl. Do it 3 times.
I
Three
cannot.
times, and I will give you a prize. But you have to do it in 30 seconds. Should I
Oh,
start the clock? She's like, no.
I cannot do that.
It's all good. Well, shout out, thank you to my regs who are coming in. Hello, Abdullah Saeed. Welcome, welcome. Assalamu alaikum, my friend. You know, we are here. Oh, you're a thumbnail designer and can create high quality thumbnails for your channel. If you're, oh, thank you. I love the pitch. I love the pitch. Hi, Jobella. Welcome. So we're here and we're just talking about what the misconceptions are, and I think it's true. I think a lot of people think that it's the same thing over and over again, and I don't think a lot of people recognize the perspective. I think back in the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that logos was the identifier and it was the story. It was almost like if you wore this brand and you had that logo, like who needed a backstory? You were just cool. You were rocking FUBU? Yes, honey. You were walking some apple bottoms? Call me on the pager because we didn't have the cell phones. Right? Beep, 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 give me the 411.
Mhm.
Right. So if you think about the evolution, if we talk about that and the perspective of it, and if you are out there, Abdullah, feel free to weigh in, share your thoughts with us, ask questions. I have Naja here for a full 45 minutes. I brought her on early because people always have these branding questions. So please, and even before we get further into the conversation, I want you to know that she does have a brand basics workshop coming up, a complimentary brand basics workshop on October 16th. What time? What time are we hitting that up?
8 p.m. 8 p.m.
8 p.m. It's
Yes,
8 p.m. Go ahead. You want to talk a little bit about it because, we want to get the crowd, let them know before people have to leave.
for sure. So basically, in this session, we're just going to go through some basics about branding and why it's important to have a brand strategy. And just some of the things you might need to know when you engage a creative agency or any other creative professional, just so you know a little bit. You can come in there confident and then make sure that it's a successful working relationship.
I love it. So don't miss it. If you haven't, please jump on, follow her at Visibility Creative. So she posts, you'll let her know. But if you have questions here today, please feel free to ask. Shout outs to Empressing in the building. Good evening. Yes. Okay. So we just talked about the misconception that new people have. I mean, look, the comments are coming in. People are here today. Yes, it is online. That's a good question. It is actually in Jamaica, in Fletcherland. So if you have a plane ticket, please feel free to go. The workshop's free. The tickets are paid. No, I'm just joking. It's on virtual. It's on Zoom. Sweat Synergies in the building. Welcome, welcome, Miss Elaine Vassal. So, as we're talking about the misconception, let's talk about the evolution. So, let's talk from your perspective. How has branding shifted from the traditional storefront reputation to today's digital first world?
Well, I would say, maybe 10, maybe more than 10 years ago, when I was working in house, social was the area where, lacked in budget. We couldn't prove, I guess, metrics to say why the company should put a lot of money towards social media. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously now, I'm sure within most companies, it's one of the top areas that they're going to
Yeah,
invest in, right?
facts.
Um, so that definitely has changed because the first place somebody's probably going to be introduced to your brand is probably online before they walk into a store or come to any of your events. So it's very important that your branding is strong already there to make them want to go outside and
Mm-hmm.
find you wherever you are. So definitely, I think it's changed a lot in that space.
Yeah, definitely. And I think back in the day, you had to have a little money in your coffers to get a flyer, to get their brand out there, right? Remember those? Like it was, I mean, if you made a 4x6, you were like balling out of control. What? I'm in print, honey. You know what I mean? And it was reputation back then, like what you did, how you acted, and reliability. People were, from my business world perspective, I think that, I always say we became hood stars because everybody in the community knew you. Like if everyone in the community knew you, if you walk somewhere like Jane Finch Mall or something and you were being said hi, 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 it's like, oh my God, you're so popular. But now it's like a drop in the bucket, right? Now you could
Yeah,
be living in the remote parts of Bangladesh and be like a superstar. You know what I mean? A TV was the way, brands spent a lot of money on advertising on TV. And with that, I think a lot of times small businesses, they did take a bigger hit because they didn't have the kind of capital to compete with on air and whatever. And now, yeah, now it's a click of a button, it's a scroll, it's a reel, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? So that's really interesting, to your point that, people used to have to look for you. Now it's almost the opposite. You have to look for the people because they can stone throw and catch a business and their needs,
yes.
right? Wouldn't you even agree, like with the new housing schemes that they're putting up? They tend to have everything now in that area. Like if you see more than 100 houses, you're going to see a Walmart, you're going to see a McDonald's, you're going to see banks. Like
Hmm.
they are catching on to these schemes that like they all kind of just blueprint in all these new developments. Thoughts?
Definitely, because I mean, they're trying to make them walkable cities or that everything is, right there for you. So definitely, you do see that in like the new housing schemes and stuff like that.
Facts on that. Jobella has a question. Thanks for your question, Jobella. When creating your brand identity, are there any colors or typographies we should stay away from? Yes, girl. The ones that I'm using, you better get your life. No, I'm joking. I'm just kidding. No
You know,
copyrights or trademarks.
I wouldn't say, I mean, obviously there's, the ones that everybody hates, Comic Sans and things of that sort, because, people don't feel they look professional. But overall, I wouldn't necessarily say there's ones you should stay away from, but this is why it's important to sort of understand your brand first, because your typography it's so important, right? So your fonts, they have to make sense, they have to speak to the audience you're trying to reach. So I think it's not necessarily ones to avoid, but just make sure it makes sense with your brand strategy. Don't
I
just
feel
pick
you.
based on your cousin's likes or your friend's likes. It has to make sense with your brand.
I like that. And I think that's more and more what the issue is, like people not knowing truly who they are. And it's funny, as long as I've been in business, And I've been in business for a very long time. Like I've been 30 plus years counting, doing, businesses. And I think in the last probably 3 to 4 years, I've really gotten a wrap in the brand voice. I think just today we had our conversation at your session where I was like picking your brain. I'm like, look at my website, look at my website, look at my this, look at my that. Am I doing it right? Suckers, I have her personally one on one. And you said something that was very powerful. You said contrast used to be the no, but now it's the yes. And you're right, because a lot of the things I was doing was trying to blend and whatnot, right? And I think it's easy to say to people, um, build your brand. But after today's session, I think every single person, including me, I already went to brand basics in the first one. I plan to go back again because I think there's always more I can learn. But I think people really need to attend your workshop to really truly understand what that is. I think people don't hear their voice as much as possible. We have another question. Keep them coming, Jobella. Yes, girl. Build your empire on the Business Weekly. So Jobella is asking, how would we go about understanding our brand? Didn't we just say that? How do we go understanding our brand? Like, what should we be looking for before we get to the colors and design stage? So let me go back to part one of the question.
Yeah.
How would we go about understanding our brand?
Right. So first and foremost, understanding yourself. So like, who are you? Why did you start this business? Like, what is your why? Right. And then from there, then you can start to develop, okay, well, what is my business about? What new experience am I providing for people, or what problem am I solving? And then from there, you need to understand, okay, well, where do I fit in the market? These are things that you can start thinking of. Now, you will work with a brand strategist and they'll help you develop that further, but you kind of got to come there with that information. Otherwise, you might end up, led astray to something that doesn't represent you at all. So you
Yeah,
kind of
you'll
have
get
to
Comic
know
Sans.
yourself. Yes, exactly. You got to have a little bit of sense of self and your business before you show up. So, who are you? What is your business, and what problem are you solving? Those are like key things that you should know. And then if you can understand who your target market is, that is great as well, so that you come there with a foundation, right, to build from.
Love that. Love
Mhm.
that. And you know where you start, Jobella? With your girl, Miss J, on the business plan, honey, the blueprint, honey. Everything that she just said, it essentially is your blueprint. You find your mission, your values, your philosophies, your goals. You get into understanding who you are as not just a company, but as the philosophy, right? And then we move forward into the plan. You now have your marketing, and that marketing really encompasses your market segmentation, which is your target market, and then your avatar. So your coach gets the who done for you, and your strategist. Wait, we point that way because I think you're that way on my screen. Ooh, TikTok! I'm just doing it like TikTok. And your strategist takes care of bringing that business plan into visual, right? So take your time when it comes to the thought process. And I think when people rush into business, they really think it's just about solving the problem. And that is truly the case. But you have to understand what you're thinking. Like, what do they see when they see you? Do they see you as the answer to the solution? And if you are, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a little zhuzh on it, honey. Yes, yes, yes. Salt bay it up, right? So definitely, that's what it's about. Oh, thank you so much, Jobella. Make sure you're connected with us. Follow us on our channels, DM us. Let's get your business into the skies. But we love what we do, and you can hear that clearly. She is. But there was a second part to the question. Okay, so I don't know if you answered it, but like, what should we be looking for before we get to the colors and design stage? That's a really good question.
Right. So, I mean, we sort of covered that. It's the brand strategy, who you
Okay.
are, who your company is. All of those things need to be in place so that when you start developing the visuals, you can always refer back to, your brand strategy and
Love
say,
that.
okay, does this align? Does this make sense? For my business, you can always go back there, because we do get lost when visuals come out. Everybody loves, everything's pretty, and we might get lost in the sauce and being like, oh, I like this or I don't like this, but it's not your likes and dislikes. It's gonna be, does this align with their brand? Is this gonna be successful for my brand? Right.
Yes.
So
And
it,
it has
it
to
helps
sell.
to have that. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to sell. And I think when I first started with Beautiful Women Society, Mike, I had gold in my head, gold, black, and white. Like it was in my head. I saw it as regal,
Mhm.
rich, we're doing the damn thing. And the page just looked yellow. Like it just had this yellow. And honestly, I was working with it. And it was one of my clients who looked at the page and I was at her session and she said, Miss J. And I said, what's up? And she's like, are you tied to the yellow? And I'm like, yellow girl, that's gold. You better get your life.
That was such a nice way to, say it to you. Are you tired
She
of
just said,
that?
are you tied to the yellow? And that day on, pink became my new brand colors, pink, gray, black, and white. And it, like when I say night and day,
Right.
like I wiped my page and I started with my brand colors, my new brand colors, and the numbers just doubled immediately,
Mhm.
right? I mean, double is still double whether it went from 2 likes to 4 likes, people. So don't get out, don't get it's the change, right? And I
Yeah.
think through that now my life is just branded. My watches, my rings, my nails, they stay branded. The wallpaper in my office, like you don't realize when you truly connect to something, it's almost like it found me versus me finding it. And I think it was because somebody said, you look really good in pink one day. And I had a few pink items and they were just like, you look, every time I wore it, they're like, you look really good in pink.
Right.
So I'm like, well, who doesn't want to continue to look fabulous? How many colors? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, for all our listeners, welcome, welcome. If you're just coming in, welcome to LuvBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. You're here with your girl, Miss J, on Business Weekly, here every Thursday, 7 p.m., bringing the guests to drop the gems. And when I don't have a guest, I bring my own gems to drop. So, here we're talking about, if you're just coming in, we're recapping. We've been talking about brand beyond the logo. We talked about what are some of the misconceptions. We also are talking about what you need to think about in terms of evolving your brand. And we're leaving off on this topic with the big shift. You can no longer rely just on reputation alone. You need intentional branding, how you look, how you sound, and how you show up to cut through all the noise that's out there. So let's move on to the identity work. What's the first step that you guide clients through when defining their brand identity outside of my fabulous business plans that give you all the base foundational knowledge?
That's right. Of
Shout
course.
out to Miss J.
So of course, like as we talked about, I know I feel like a broken record, but brand strategy, that's first and foremost, right? So we're gonna figure out who you are and all of those. Give me 1 second, sorry.
Oh, no, girl, you busy. You in these streets getting these coins. I ain't gonna stop you. I'm just gonna be drinking. Oh, you. Oh, thanks, producer. Let me tell you, she had to go answer that because it is. No, girl, this is real life. You running a business, so do not like. I love it when I hear the phone rings. All I hear is cha-ching.
Right.
Um,
Thank you for that pause, that
no
moment.
worries. We
But
went to
yes,
commercial and came back.
that was a quick commercial. But yeah, so first and foremost is, your brand strategy. So we're gonna go through that. Um, who you are, who your business is, the problem you're gonna solve, your position in the market, and most importantly, who your target market is, because that's what we're gonna do. A lot of research to figure out, well, what do they like? What appeals to them? What colors do they like? How do they like to be spoken to, right?
Yeah.
And through that, we're going to develop first your brand voice, right? Your brand messaging. So
Mhm.
all that's going to come first before we even touch the visuals, right? So
Mhm.
that's where we're going to start. And then from there, it'll make it so much easier to build out what it's going to look like because you have a clear vision. So even when it'll give you a chance to work through the design with less revisions, right?
Right.
Because you already know, you understand all of those key points about your business. So
Points.
you can right away, you can be like yes, and then you're like no, that doesn't make sense. This
Yeah.
doesn't work, right? So
And I
that's
think it's okay to be excited.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. It's okay to
Definitely,
be excited.
definitely. Sometimes, we pull it back a little bit, but Yeah, it's you want to be excited about your brand, right? You want
Mm-hmm.
to be confident about it so that when you go out there, you're like, I love it. And you do want to, put it everywhere and show everybody your brand, right? That's how you want to leave, you know, that experience.
I love that. And when you talk about the voice, the question that you need to ask yourself, I'm going to throw in my little 1-2 brand experience, is
Mhm.
how do you speak to your audience? I'm very much about brand communities. I loved community development. I've done it for 30 plus years. And the one thing I love about being in the community was we always got to hear firsthand what's going on. And I encourage all you CEO, upcoming CEOs to get out there and talk to people. Talk to the people you're trying to serve. I see so much great ideas, but most of them end up on the cutting room floor because they don't know how to speak to their audience. And your voice is what comes through the brand, right? It's the not just the pretty post and using all these effects, but essentially if I look at your post or if I'm reading your blog or if I'm on your website and I gave 3 different touch points here, do they all say the same thing? Or am I seeing 3 different messages come across? And that typically comes from the lack of planning. Because when you plan, you get the opportunity to really see the picture of what you're trying to do, right? Right. So for me, business planning is a visual picture, just like how a website is for Naja, or she's developing your logo or developing your image. I see the business plan as a picture. I can see your business while you're talking about it. If you tell me what you want, I can build it because it's so visual. The way you talk about it is so passionate, right? Like I'm gonna say shout outs to Empressing Deswa Campbell CEO. Hello, Mr. Deswa. Um, she had a vision to help, and I'm gonna put it this way. She said it with such heart, like it made me shudder a little bit
Yeah.
because she was so passionate about expanding the footprint across the globe for people, for designers and decor designers and accessory designers from Ghana, and just like everything that she curates or purveys is very, and shout outs, these are one of the products, these
Yeah.
ebony earrings, yes, stands for the heavens because I'm an angel. um, and so, but on the real, she was consistent. She always promised the same thing. She promised quality. She promised at every touch point of her business, whether it was just talking to her or going to her website, you felt that consistency of warmth. And I think naturally she had a brand that she didn't even realize she had.
Right.
So I mean, I know for you and for me, if anything, like as strategists as we are, we love people who just gush about what they do. We can package it for you, but
Oh, yeah.
it's hard to package 3 words. Like what do you want to do for your business? Well,
Yeah.
can't do much with that.
True.
Can't do much with that.
True.
Right?
Mhm.
Facts. Am I lying? Am I
No,
lying? Come on, Naja, don't leave me hanging here. We're strategists
no,
to
you're not.
strategists.
You're not lying.
Okay, good. So for my listeners, pause and ask yourself, if someone saw your Instagram page, your email, your product side by side, would they feel like they all belong to the same brand? Let me know, drop it in the chat. If not, it's time to tighten up your consistency. Call Visibility Creative Agency. Free plug. Invoice you later. Let's talk about let's talk a little bit more about visuals and voice. How do you balance the creative side of branding, which is your logos, your colors, and your design, with the strategic side, which is message, audience, and positioning? Something to that effect.
Right. I mean, we sort of talked about it already. So making sure you're clear on that side first before we even touch the visuals, right? Because it's going to be our reference to always go back to be like, okay, we're looking at various fonts, we're looking at your typography, we're looking at what your logo is going to look like. Does it make
Mhm.
sense
Right.
for your brand, right? Your positioning, your promise. What are you promising to do for people? And all of that, so we need that as a reference point. So that's sort of how I balance it. I'm always going to refer back to it. It helps keep everybody on track as well because like I said,
Mhm.
oftentimes there's a lot of outside forces. If it's not somebody else's opinion, it might be even you see what a competitor is doing and then you kind of want to follow that. But that, you need to set your business up for success and have your own lane. So definitely going to use that to keep balancing out how we, roll out the visuals.
When you roll out, okay, so say you did the first draft, like, take me, I'm your client, I'm talking to your client, and I think, okay, so I get my first draft. Do you feel that, like, okay, let me put it this way. So I come with all my own branding,
Okay.
per se. Would you be taking it and like judging it? Do you typically say this sucks, you need a new brand, or like, I don't know, I'm not really good with the soft words. um, I'm really not. I tell people all the time, one of my biggest weaknesses is that I'm not the softest person in the room. And I'm good with that. Why? Because I'm a performance coach. Ain't
Same.
nobody got time for your tears.
Different approach.
Um,
Yep.
it's like, here, you got like 3 tears to put in my hand. 3 after that.
Yeah.
Roll it back up and let's get to work. No, kidding. I love humans. But like, so I came with my stuff and I'm like, hey, you know what, Naja, da, 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 da. How do you recognize when it's just not working?
I mean, as you said, conversation, right? We're going to talk about, um, are you achieving your goals right now?
Right.
Why did you come? Because there's a reason why you looked at your brand and said, I need to go and seek some further assistance. So
Oh, that was nice.
it's not,
You could just say you cut your brand and says it sucks.
that was like the nice way.
That was a nice way of saying it. That
So,
was a nice way of saying it.
there's a reason why you came. So we're gonna say, okay, well, what's the problem? And they're gonna say, well, my target market, I can't reach them. They're not interested, right? So that's where we can go back and look at your brand and say, okay, well, let's start from the beginning, right? And just do a full brand refresh. That might be it. Um, and it just depends. It really comes down to like having a conversation with
Right.
the business owner so I can see where you're at. Do you understand those key things, or did
Right.
you just sort of pull this from somewhere online and said this looks great, I'm gonna start using it, right?
Oh my goodness, say that so that people can
Yeah.
hear it in the back. Doing it from online. Yes, honey. Yes. Do you find that there's a lot of people that um I'm gonna say yes, they do it because they see it and it's the selling to them is, oh, it's easy. All you need to do is just download it and we'll do the rest, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
How, if a person did do that, what would be your advice to them when they're seeing things online that they possibly want to pull for their own brand?
I'm one of those people. I'm always like, I always go on the cautious side. So it
Mhm.
might belong to somebody. So there's always going to be, there could be legal rights, things of that sort. And obviously, there's a lot of things that fly under the
Mhm.
radar you can get away with. But I'm always going to, stay more cautious with that and say, you need to create something original so that later on down the road, if you do go to trademark it or anything like that, you don't run into an issue because then you're going to have to go all the way back to the drawing board again.
Right.
I get it. This is my field that I'm in, right? For somebody
Mhm.
else, it's not their field. So I get why sometimes we'll seek those things online or other places and pull because you don't know what you don't know, right?
True.
So that's why I'm here. So that's why, I'll have a conversation and I'll just give them my, personal opinion, my expert opinion on why they should consider something else.
And do you ever see a brand where it's like, say they like it and you just don't see it representing, how would you, like, maybe some of the questions, like what are 2 questions that you would ask to know if they're here for the right reason? Because I find, and I'll maybe add this context, I
Mhm.
find when people come to me for business ideas, they come and they have the business, they have the idea, and they're really going at it. But I ask 2 key questions. Did you do this business because something happened to you, or did you do this business because you saw a need?
Right.
Because I find in business, some people start for the wrong reasons. They had a bad experience and now I'm going to go start this business and I'm going to do it all right. and it wasn't never really a passion, it was more a reaction to some traumatic experience that they had, and they're trying to right the wrong kind of way. But then there's the other side where people can see that there's, I've seen 100 people, suffering from this same pain point, and I saw the reason to start. Do you see that kind of, they come in kind of not with the right brand, but they chose it because of whatever reasons?
Yeah, sometimes like because it's popular or they've heard, might be something they could make a lot of money from. That does happen. So it's funny. I think it's the same question I'm going to ask, what's your why? Why did you tell me about your business? Why did you start it?
Mm-hmm.
And from a conversation, you can always sort of tell, where people are. And then you sort of figure out how we're going to work together
Right.
to achieve that result. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Empressing's in the building. How are you, love? Pitfalls, common mistakes. What are most common mistakes small businesses are making when it comes to branding?
Um, Not investing, right? I get it. I get
Hold
it.
on. Let's just press pause so people can catch up on the delay.
Hmm.
Yes, say it again one more time.
Not investing in your brand. And I get
It
it
is.
when, if we're talking about small business, not a medium size or larger corporation, I get it. Money's limited. So it might be not the first thing you're going to want to spend money on. But, there's ways to do it, in a cost effective way. So you do it now
Mm-hmm.
instead of, going to market with something that you're going to have to go back and change and revisit, right? It's better, it's going to be stronger from the start. You're going to have people's trust from the start and sort of build that relationship. So I get it. Money might be tight, but it's you got to invest in your brand from the start.
From the
And you
start.
and you can roll it out in pieces. So you don't have to do everything, but those key pieces, obviously your brand strategy, your logo, if it is a website identity, but just understanding those things, having them in place, then as you grow you can go back and build it out further and build it out further. And then it's going to be cheaper for you as well because you already have your brand.
The basics is
You
right.
have the basics of your brand.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what it is, right? So it's just building on those pieces instead of having to come back after, when you do grow and your brand doesn't make sense for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and it's so important. Seth Godin, amazing brand strategist. He said something at the very beginning. He said a hotel uh, can have a logo,
Yes.
but a shoe could be a brand. Like the Nike logo is a brand. It speaks it the story. It speaks to the people know who it's for, whatever the case is. And one of the things that I will say to that is to agree 1000% with self investment. I think so many people start businesses and don't, and without the plan, I don't know if I said this enough on this show today, without the blueprint, the business plan, the concept creator, without that, part of that planning comes with the financial planning. So
Yeah.
when you're starting a business, the one thing I'm going to ask you is how much money are you putting aside for your brand marketing, for developing your websites, because at the end of the day, people, you have to spend money to make money. That's just the way it works. And people think employment's cheaper. It's not. You still got to pay the gas to get their commute. You have to get the car. If you're taking the bus, you got to pay for your Presto or whatever you do. If you're taking Uber, then you have to buy clothes so you can show up presentable, because if you're working in certain atmospheres, you can't just show up in your nightie, right? Then you got to eat. If you don't bring food every day, you're investing in that. And it's amazing how we find money to do all of that. The moment we say invest into coaches and strategists and brand makers, all of a sudden the money's tight, whatever the case may be, right? So let me tell you something. You need to save your money. Start going carnival, right? You have to, like, and as women, we step out. Like I can tell you what I spend in the nail shop on a monthly when I go to do
Well,
the brows and things. That will never change. Let's not get it twisted. Why? Because it's on brand, right? I never step out without looking decent. And my mama would beat me if she was alive. She would beat me if I was to walk out the house any other way. Shout out if your mom's a Caribbean. But I think part of that is just understanding that you're right. The minimal investment is what changes the game. When your brand looks good, people will attract to it,
right out the
because,
gate.
right?
Hmm.
Because they feel that sense of purity and authenticity, and it just looks good, right? No, nobody wants to, have your brand wearing your brand if the brand is not representative of what you're competing with out there, the Gucci's and the Louis and people who have decades of brand relationships, and you're just coming out, so you got to represent.
Right.
Love
And
that.
they'll look and they'll say, okay, well, this person takes their business seriously.
Yes.
I That happens all the time. I'll look at something, I'm like, ooh, like
Mhm.
they're serious about this. Doesn't matter how small that business is. I'm like, they really put time and invested in the labels for their product. If it's a color,
Right, the wrapping paper, right? Like,
anything, I'll be like, oh, they are really invested in their business. That will make
yes,
me sort of lean in further. So it does
that's
matter.
true, very
Yeah.
true, very true. I remember when I got these earrings, there was a little thank you card in there, like a handwritten note saying
Exactly.
thank you for purchasing and supporting. And I thought that was like, wow, like, and I didn't even like, I stop at the blueprint. You want to go out there and put bows and bells and whistles, by all means. But when I saw it, I was like, yes, that's investment right there,
Yeah.
right? That is investment right there. And sometimes it doesn't have to be expensive, it just has to look good, right? And I mean, if you could work a Dollarama shopping trip, you could have yourself a good looking brand. You know what I mean? It's so true. If you could talk about advice to a new entrepreneur, if you're
Hmm.
listening here on LuvBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, welcome, welcome, welcome. You're sitting with your girl, Miss J, and my guest, wait, that way, Naja Dowdy from Visibility Creative Agency. And today she's really been talking to us about messaging around the brand beyond the logo. And so if you haven't heard this, please hit the replay. It will be up after the show and listen to the beginning, get the gems, and most importantly, attend her workshop, Brand Basics, being held October 17th, virtually 8 o'clock p.m. I will be putting it up on my page and my stories. I'll be shouting it from the rooftops because I was able to go to her first. You know what? It's funny. I went as her coach to just take her in to make sure she did proper and represented my brand okay. And she blew me away. Blew me away. She just blew me away with the amount of. She's so quiet in her sessions. She's so quiet, and then she gets on this call and she starts hammering knowledge, and I'm just like, whoa. was it was really really good, really really good. So I want you all to go out there and get on it. So we are in the wrap up phases, and so I want, what advice would you give the entrepreneurs listening today
Hmm.
if they could only do one thing to strengthen their brand right now? These broke, busted, and disgusted small business owners.
No,
Just kidding.
like the real side, and then it's like I'm like, oh, don't say that about them.
Listen, we all were broke, busted, and disgusted when we
Right.
started. Let's
It's
just be
just
real
like,
about it. I know I did. I had a few good companies that were good in my brain and not so good on in the landscape, right? But you got to learn. You got to start somewhere, right?
no, totally.
Hmm.
Um, one thing is hard, but I guess if there was one, it's just understanding like your why. And even for me, that I had to go through that exercise as well, and it took me
Hmm.
probably a year to actually put pen to paper.
Love that.
You know, because I thought about it, I was like, that doesn't really seem right. This seems like I just pulled that from somewhere. I really had to sit with it. I think, if you understand that, then everything else starts to sort of flow a little bit easier. You can answer questions um, easier that are gonna, get you your strategy and your visuals and all that stuff. So if I had to pick one, I guess it would be really understand your why for your business.
Love that. Get yourself coffee, tea, a drink, sit down and ponder. On your why. That's what I've been hearing. That's what I've been hearing. I want to thank you so much, Naja. I'm gonna put up your because I've been getting in trouble for not doing that. Um, every time I keep kind of forgetting to press it because it gets so good. It gets so good. But follow Miss Najadi right here on her. I put up the QR code. Where's where's the QR code, Mr. T? Jeez, I'm doing all the work over here. Okay, it's not working. Okay, it'll come up sooner or later. But I want to thank you so much. I'm going to see you in the green room after this. I'm going to close out. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you tremendously for taking the time out to come and to share the knowledge. And again, we will definitely see. Oh, there it is. Follow Naja Dadi. Take out your phone, scan and follow. If you're looking at this on your phone, just go to Visibility Creative on IG. Check out her website, visibilitycreative.ca. And is there anywhere else you would like? And when do you want them to contact you to book their appointment? When do you want that to happen?
Right away.
Right away.
Right away. Yeah.
Right away. Don't waste no time. Don't waste no time. All right. I'll see you soon, my love.
Okay. Thank you
So,
so
to all
much.
of you who took the time to come out and to learn about brand basics, I'm excited for you. Let's recap what we learned today. So, we learned one, brand equals identity, not just logo. It's who you are and how you're experienced. Okay, it's how you're experienced. Two, consistency builds trust. So customers should feel that your brand at every touch point, from the moment they interact with you on IG to the moment they meet you, to the moment they purchase, to the moment you say thank you. Three, modern brands build community. So your audience wants connection, not just a product. So make sure you have your story on lock. Who you are is important, more important than what you do, right? And as a strategist, the one thing I say is your strategy should always be built on what is out there, because your business plan was built on a problem or an enhancement. So you want to stay close to the plan and keep the plan active. Because when you keep your plan active and evolve it, then your brand evolves with it. But if you do a business plan and you put it somewhere in the back of your files or whatever the case may be, you run the risk of not being really able to stay on top of what's going on. And number four, start small, stay true. Even a solopreneur can create a strong brand if the foundation is solid. Okay, so I challenge you this week. I want you to write down 3 words that describe how you want your customers to feel when they interact with your business. Then look at your logo, your socials, and your emails. Do they match those words? If not, that's your first brand homework. And then second, contact Naja Dowdy. Hit her up, get on a call, and just ask her to look at it. Right? She's here to help you. She's here to support with you. And you can also catch her on her brand basic complimentary workshop October 16th, right after my show. Jump off my show and go to Naja's show. So that's our wrap for today's Business Weekly special. Brand beyond the logo. Brand beyond the logo, what every entrepreneur needs to know. You want to remember, a strong brand is more than just visuals. It's the heartbeat of your business. It's what makes people choose you over the next option, and what keeps them coming back. Next week, we'll be back with another powerful conversation to help you grow, scale, and sustain your business the smart way. Always remember, the CEO possesses the drip. That's your drive, resilience, innovation, and progression. And your empire is built on boss, business operations, systems, and strategies. I'm your girl, Miss J, your drip strategist, boss methodologist, and hostess with the mostest. You've been listening to Business Weekly right here on LuvBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. So let's build something legendary. And as always, wings up and let's fly. I'll see you next week, 7 o'clock p.m. right here. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you all. Stay in the skies.